Library Trustees Chair. As a preliminary matter, I would like to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. There was a recent determination by the Attorney General's division that monitors open meeting law, that we have to go through and make sure each person by name is present as participants. So we will do that. Library Director Ann McFate.
Here.
Thank you. Dimitri Kyriakis, Assistant Director.
Here.
Jeff Arnold, Reference Staff as Recording Secretary. And Daniel Tawa, Archivist Technology Specialist on staff. And Library Trustees, myself, of course, Carol Thomas, Anna Geraldo Kerr.
Here.
Rick Hardy,
Here.
Tom Harkins,
Here.
Rob Pettit,
Here.
Jay Fialkov,
Here.
and we seem to be missing Kay, Kay Hill. Perhaps she will join us. I'll introduce her when she arrives. As far as I know, she's planning to. And Joan Smith from the foundation, Needham, Library Foundation of Needham.
Thank you.
I'm going to go through my introduction to the remote meeting. It's now 7:02 p.m. on Tuesday, November 10th, 2020, and this is an open meeting of the Needham Board of Library Trustees. This meeting is being conducted remotely due to the state of emergency in the Commonwealth still in effect resulting from the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus and consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020. The order allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will allow public comment by means of the chat function only. For this meeting, the Needham Board of Library Trustees is convening by Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join in. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all participants are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that others may be able to see you, and please take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Before we turn to the first item on our agenda, first some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business for compliance with the governor's executive order and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. The chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will invite members by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. To the extent practicable and within the requirements of open meeting law requirements for conducting a virtual meeting, we will keep the meeting style somewhat informal, as is our practice when we meet in person. Nonetheless, as in prior Zoom meetings, 2 rules need to be observed. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. And please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair recognizes you so that we do not speak over each other. Regarding public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment in this fashion. Anyone of the public signed into the meeting as an attendee may submit written comment or question via the chat after identifying his or her name and address only. The Assistant Library Director, Dimitri Kyriakis, will monitor the chat box and alert me to submissions there. The chat submissions will be recorded and become part of the official record of the meeting. Each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote, a requirement of the governor's executive order of March 12, 2020. And I now request, as I have in the past, a motion to automatically continue this meeting to December 8th, 2020 at 7 p.m. with the same Zoom number, our next regularly scheduled meeting in the event any technical difficulty should arise tonight that keeps us from completing this meeting. Could I have a motion from someone?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, and I have to go, I'm afraid I have to go one by one. Jay? Could you unmute yourselves?
I did. I approve.
Yeah, Rick,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
and Carol. And we are missing Kay still, so we will
Okay,
call it that. No, none opposed.
Kay's having some trouble getting in, so I'm having Gay send her the link. We're gonna.
Oh,
Oh, there.
great.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Here she is.
Are you
Okay.
there? Oh, wonderful. You're
She's
you're muted. You're still muted. There you go.
Okay. The Zoom link wasn't working right for me, so I right clicked on it and it worked.
Okay.
Just say aye.
Aye.
This is a motion to continue the meeting till our December meeting, should there be any difficulty. We just took a roll call vote, except for your vote.
Okay.
I guess it's unanimous. Thank you. Minutes from October, our October meeting. Are there any comments, changes?
Yeah, Carol, on the director's report in the first paragraph, it indicates that I had noted the numerous budget submission guidelines. I'm not sure I did that. I'm pretty sure I didn't do that. I don't know, was that you, Carol?
Well, I don't remember. But I give you credit. You can have the credit, Rick. Who cares? Yeah. Any other?
Can I ask just a quick question about the minutes?
Yes, Jay.
It's not a correction or anything, but there's a reference to us co-sponsoring the Needham Diversity Initiatives Diversity Summit.
Yes.
And I thought we had approved that. When I got the invitation, when I checked the site, I don't see any reference to the library as a co-sponsor. At one point, there's a list of other supporters and the library is not included there either. So I'm not sure what the understanding might have been relating to our sponsorship of the event, but I thought I would mention that.
Oh, thank you. We did vote, but Anna probably has more information. Anna?
Yeah, the promotion has been updated, so the library is mentioned now. So I don't know if
As of
when
today,
might that,
because I looked at it just today.
where are you looking?
I thought the website, and again, I don't want to make too big a deal out of it.
Thanks for,
I thought I checked the Needham Diversity Initiative Summit, wherever it took me to when I Googled.
All right, well, let's let Anna follow up on that. She now
Okay.
has.
I will.
Yeah, terrific. Thank you. Are there any changes to these minutes? Anyone else? In that case, could I have a motion? Oh, you know, there's just one, Jeff, in number 10 on page 6. I think in the 1, 2, 3, 4th line about library art committee. I think it's LEAVITT for Levitt. There's an ETT, but I think it's an ITT.
That is correct. Good catch, Carol.
Okay. Okay, so may I have a motion then to approve these minutes with that
I'll
one
move
tiny
to approve
change?
the minutes.
Thank you, Kay. Second?
Second.
Rick, thank you. All in favor? Kay,
Aye.
Jay,
Aye.
Rick,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
and I also, thank you. That's approved unanimously. Now, director's report. Anne, you are muted. I can't hear anything.
Okay, all
There
right,
we go. Start again.
okay. We've had a good month and a bad month. We've got a new reference supervisor, Sarah Breen, but we've lost Jess Diamond. She has resigned. Deborah's been out sick now. She did not come back Monday. This is her 4th week being out. And poor Karen's lost her mother on November 2nd.
Mm.
But, Deborah had doctor appointments today with the hopes that they would find out what's wrong with her. She does, no one seems to know.
All right, well, this is private, but I think that, is it possible, does she receive email or can we send a card, and where would we send it? Could you send out that information to the trustees so we can send her a card, and same for Karen? And really, our congratulations to Sarah. She will be most capable doing the, with her promotion. And that's wonderful. Is there any work? I saw that the new job opening, Sarah's old position is being posted. But how does it work for hiring in this COVID time? Do you do interviews?
We'll probably have interviews just like our meeting,
On Zoom?
remote somehow.
Have we hired anybody since this has happened? Have we had to replace any position?
This will be new, you know. By the way, Carol, I'm just curious. The position you saw, is that Sarah's old job, or is that our, Ann, you're moving your lips. Is it the part-time reference position?
Oh, it's probably,
The
yeah,
part-time
I
reference.
think it is, yeah.
It's too soon to get, we're in the process of getting that one.
Right. I do have a certificate of necessity. I got it yesterday, signed by all the proper people at the town hall. And now I believe I have to write the posting and
Yeah.
send it down to them.
Can I
Oh.
make a comment?
Yes, go ahead, Jay.
I just want to make sure that, you should think about when you're writing up your posting, that you should reflect whatever your expectations will be relating to the new and updated website. And I would think maybe that you'll take into account when you're considering the applicants, the significance of their ability to sort of, deal with that side of the equation.
Very good. Yep.
Good point, Jay.
Yeah.
Is there any, I see that we do not have a statistical report because Deborah's been out. What is the situation as far as other people being able to do the same job that Deborah does when she's not available? Is there anyone who's trained?
No, not the two people that work with her full time can do some of her work, quite a bit of it, but I don't believe that they're into statistics.
So I don't believe we'd identified this before as being a shortcoming. We talked about Diane Brown's job, maybe not being sufficiently covered if there's a problem, that she can't be present to do it. But I wasn't aware that Deborah's part of Deborah's job was also somewhat vulnerable that way.
I'm sure we can manage. It's statistics. I used to do statistics before.
Can I ask you, if it's not too much trouble, to describe briefly what is the role of the circulation supervisor, just so that I understand
Sure.
clearly?
Circulation supervisor is in charge of the circulation desk and the people that work there. She takes part in hiring them, and she trains them and makes sure that they know what they're doing, and she does their scheduling.
Are they mostly part-time?
There are 2 full-timers and the rest are all part-time. It's quite a large group of part-timers.
How many part-timers?
Ooh,
Just approximately.
maybe
Well, got it. So, thank you. Sorry.
And
to
then there
interrupt.
are also the pages. Are you counting the pages?
No, she's in charge of the pages
Yeah.
also.
Yeah. So there's, it's a little bit broader than the desk, it's not just the desk.
Like all our jobs, there's a side you see and a side you don't see.
Yeah, well,
Well, you could say circulation services. Which
Yeah.
encompasses desk and everything that encompasses circulation in their operations.
okay. Well, I really wish
Tom has a question.
Deborah well, and if you could send out some addresses, so, at least I could send a note or card.
Tom has his hand up.
Hmm? Anne, I'm having trouble hearing a lot of what you're saying.
Tom has his hand up.
Okay, all right, Tom, go for it.
Yeah, the question is, most of the statistics come from Minuteman, right?
Yes, they do.
Go into the statistical report.
Right.
So there should be some way to
There will. There is.
do that. Yeah, and I think that could,
Yeah, we can, like, I have some statistics I can dredge up when Deborah is back, so we won't be losing anything.
No, and
I don't know that. Yeah.
the two people who work for her full-time are very bright, and it would take a minimal amount of training to get them up to speed.
I
Well, the
think it
thing
would
is
be a
that
great idea. Excuse
in
me.
this pandemic thing, when I think those statistics are important because we want to recognize what we're doing with circulation. I think circulation has been very well. Every time I've ordered curbside purchases or something, it's been very, very comfortable and very seamless. So I
It
just
worked
want to
really
make sure
hard.
that we recognize those statistics that come in with how much as to the borrowing and in that situation. Yeah.
I would think as a manager, a manager of the department heads, it would be a good idea for the administration to put it on the to-do list to create a manual about where these statistics come from, each one, because I doubt that there are anything that Deborah has to calculate. It's probably a matter of knowing where to go
Yeah.
to locate the statistics that already have been,
Right.
posted somewhere.
And we don't know about it. I'm sure she's that type of person. She would have things written down how to do. And don't forget, that used to be my job at one time. So I could do it if I had to.
I
Yeah,
believe there is a circulation manual, so it could be in there.
okay, well, it ought to be, it didn't get done by someone else, so I think we ought to just consider how we're going to deal with that in the future. Thanks. And keep going.
I need a vote for the gifts. There's 2 gifts
Yeah, do I have a motion?
to accept the gift list.
So
So moved.
moved.
That was Anna. Say a second.
Second.
Rob, thank you. All in favor? Okay. You're muted. Jay,
Aye.
Rick,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
and I from me, unanimously approved. Thanks. What else?
Yeah, that's all.
So I'd like to positively note on the director's report, some of the activities on development and training that, like, for example, Danielle, some of the attending things that she attended, equitable access to digital content, lifespan services to patrons on the autism spectrum, disability on the shelf, and then for Erin, strategies to narrow the digital divide, authors and dialogue for the Day of Dialogue. And then on the children's side, just in terms of activities, the Zoom Halloween escape room had 36 families, which represented 81 children. And the
Yeah.
video had 145 views. And then on the STEM project, on the paddleboard kit, they had like 38 families on the paddleboard kit and 41 families on the math kits. So there's a lot going on, despite the fact that we don't have people physically in the building.
That's right, a lot going on. I do see that Gay Ellen published library notes, but I don't believe I received an email about it. In the past, there had
You
been
do
an
need to
email.
be signed up, and I did send out the announcement, so it should have gone out.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Well, I'll look for it anyway. Thank you. I will enjoy looking at that. I always do.
Staff continues to get lauded by the public. There was the email that was sent to Eric.
Yeah, thank you.
Jim from out of town.
Yes, yeah, that was very good to hear. and that you do, it's my experience too, it's a great job going on there when I've picked up books.
Oh, yeah.
On page 2, Anne had an interesting section discussing, eventual reopening plans and all the very tricky questions that you guys are trying to address. I'm just wondering how you're thinking of addressing those questions, and also, just for example, reading newspapers and magazines be permitted? Are there ideas for maybe limiting to the number of people in the quiet rooms, to 1 or 2 at a time?
So
I could see a lot to address.
our colleagues and neighbors that are doing that, what they do is they magazines and newspapers, once somebody's looked at something, then they quarantine it. So they have had a few conflicts where somebody's looked at a newspaper, somebody comes in and says, can I look at that one? And go, not for another 5 to whatever days they're quarantining it for.
Yeah, the
there is-
Boston Globe looks a little old by then,
It does. So there's a discussion amongst, sorry, Ann, I didn't mean to jump in, but just to give you a little bit of what I'm hearing from other libraries, many of them are questioning the wisdom of actually doing that. And they're trying to point a lot of their patrons to the electronic resource, particularly in terms of the Daily Globe, While it's not as satisfying as sitting in the library reading it, a 5-day-old Boston Globe, or to come in and say, well, you can't see this one for another 5 days, that gets a little, it's not ideal, but the easiest thing is to say to folks, well, you can look at the electronic copy, we could walk you through that,
Yeah.
And,
Keeps going, we'll go to the archives and Danielle will be taking care of it.
but
Yeah,
so,
and I bring this up because, given the current situation with the vaccines, it could be another full year before the virus is reduced to the effect where normal life can take place again. And so, I think it's good that you're kind of trying to come up with a plan for, it could be, like I said, another year. So,
and Kay, I know you folks have heard me say this ad nauseum, but our colleagues at other libraries, they have a greeter at the door. They have all sorts of staff we have great staff, not a lot of them. So we have to take that in consideration in terms of the operations of how we would do that if we were to open to the public in any capacity.
And I don't want to be open and have to have someone stand there and say, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do that.
No.
That's not good.
It's very tricky. I hear that.
And then the suggestion that maybe one of the floors might not be open. You can take out fiction, but nonfiction is, not open for browsing.
To you.
Well,
I guess what I'm saying is that, given that we may be talking about another whole year, probably getting some kind of relatively firm plan in place would be good, so we could work toward it.
And this really does raise complicated questions, because if you were imagining this for a year or maybe longer, and hypothetically, if you are talking about doing it on one floor, you may need to reconsider what you put on the floor, so that it's not a matter where you're in luck if you like fiction and you're out of luck if you don't like, if you like nonfiction.
Well, if we were to open, potentially what we're landing on is that we're going to open the first floor, keep the second floor closed and the children's room closed. The staff would obviously be available. So if somebody wanted nonfiction, staff would be happy to get it for them. We probably would put a limited amount of nonfiction, teen, other things in some sort of display out on the first floor so people can just browse,
And that's sort of what I'm suggesting.
That's what our neighbor libraries are doing too, except for Newton. Newton has all its floors open, but plexiglass, no contact with the staff, very limited computer or other sort of technical things people could do. And that's where I've heard the most complaints actually from colleagues, not to name them. And I didn't mean to name the library, but in terms of like putting like a newspaper or magazine, and then saying, well, now you can't, it has to be quarantined, so you can't see it for a while, and they're kind of rethinking that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful to have those things available, but on the other hand, if it's just, constant war, and it's like a tease kind of to say, well, you can have it, but then you really, it's not really that available, even though you say it's available. You might be better off to, to stick to the virtual for a bit longer, even when we could open, and, at least have patrons happy with the services that we say we're going to give them. they're real and, what they want, even if it's curbside. I mean, there's no real substitute for browsing, if you ask me, but that's the way, the position we're in. So,
Just anecdotally, if you notice, walking by the Wellesley bookstore, they have a limit to the number of people who can go inside at any one time.
yeah,
A relatively low limit, but it allows for people to go in, but only I don't know what the relative number would be if the library would have considered the same thing, but it's just worth noting.
yeah.
Well, we would have a limit of, sorry, Ann, go ahead.
Those numbers have to include the staff
Yep.
in the building too, so that lowers the numbers for the public.
Yeah, well, these are big questions, really. And there probably is no perfect answer, but I think we'll have to develop what we, feel is the best one for Needham. And so I know you're thinking about it, Ann, Dimitri, and let's keep in touch about that. And if you want to confer with the trustees early on, that would probably be best. We can have, a smaller representation doing that, if you like, but that's probably a better way than right now to try to decide on anything. It's premature, I think. Ann, tell me what else you have in your report that you'd like to particularly highlight.
I think that's it. Everything else comes under a heading on the agenda.
Can I throw in one thing? And it may or may not be in the report, but we've talked about it. I'll be very quick. We may come back to it again later in the meeting. Danielle and I, mostly Danielle, we have the Chromebooks prepared. We have a procedure for it. We can talk about that a little later. We're hoping to publicize it and start doing it on Monday, start taking reservations for Monday, November 30th.
Great.
Great.
We can talk about that a little later in the meeting as we get to that.
That is good. Okay. Let's see, let's just move ahead to building and grounds. It looks like the heat is on. Yeah, now that we don't need it, particularly might prefer air conditioning this week and last, but I do commend the staff for all the disinfecting that they must be doing, really. It's a whole nother job, really. And that they're taking care of, the building, even though the public can't be there right now. See, the irrigation system was turned off. I'll report in a bit on facility, and so I won't go into this much now. But the custodial staff has accomplished things during the closure, some painting jobs, et cetera, which is great, as well as the routine things. Next, financial reports. I guess there are a few different things going on. We can look at the, is there any question or comment on the statements that were provided for state aid, trust funds, or the library budget?
I have a question. And I just may not know how it works, but I remember at one point in the prior meeting, we learned that we had to give back some money that we had not spent. And I'm not sure, is that what we're dealing with here when we talk about the books and periodicals is underspent? If we don't spend that money, do we have to give it back to somebody?
At the end of the fiscal year, it would go back to the town and it becomes part of what they call free cash.
So my view is, am I wrong? Shouldn't we be able to figure out a way to spend that money? All
We
of the money?
try every year. Last year, we were told, this past year, we were told not to spend everything.
Okay.
The town tried to get back as much as it could for emergency purchases for COVID.
Okay.
Yeah, but in general, these things don't necessarily, the percentages don't necessarily coincide. As Ann pointed out, the periodicals order she thought was going to come through. It's a substantial amount of money. That would have changed the percentage for books and periodicals a bit more in line with where we are within the fiscal year.
Not that people aren't ordering because the tech services department today got 7 boxes of books, big boxes of books. So they're being ordered and they're coming through.
Well, that's good. Any other questions about these 3 financial reports?
I have something to add under financial reports. I was notified this afternoon that the trustees and me and Dimitri and anybody else who wants to come, and it'll be a Zoom meeting. December 16th is our schedule to meet with the Finance Committee, 7 o'clock on December 16th. And it will,
Okay.
and our Finance Committee liaison is Louise Miller.
Yay.
Oh, Louise, good.
So mark
I
that.
think we should do some good preparation for that. That's just a week after our next meeting. And the next up on this, the financial end of reports and end of things is that Anne put in her budget requests for the next fiscal year, as she does every year. I'm hoping that next year, Anne, you'll be able to provide those to the trustees before rather than after submission. And also, last year I attended the meeting with Kate and Dave. Our bylaws indicate that that is a role for that the trustees should participate in meetings with town boards and officials. So, we'd like to try to do that. And this year, I know you were running late on everything because of other, duties, but I really hope we will get back to that next year. And this year, I hope that trustees will participate in the meeting with the FinCom on December 16th, as we did last year. Almost everyone attended last year.
Could you briefly walk us through the budget and capital request?
About an hour.
Well, I mean, just
No, there wasn't.
touch the highlights.
Highlights start with the capital requests. This is the second year of the library technology plan. We actually have money this year to spend. And then Danielle has developed a multi-year budget. So there's 3 more years. And then the space planning consultant, the one we've been trying to get for a while, I asked for that again. I was also told that probably not going to get anything this year. And the budget itself, if you have it in front of you, on page 2, you can see my little chart. Items that I increased and 1 decrease. We don't use much postage anymore, so I decreased that budget a little bit. But the other budgets, we had increases in them during the year. And so I asked for some more money to be put in the budgets. The salaries are the biggest part.
Mm-hmm.
And then the library software, the Minuteman fee, and the Digital Commonwealth membership. So I feel that these raise requests are reasonable. And there's no, there's anything like this. These are actual expenses. And I hope they agree with me.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Jay.
Thanks. So I'm not sure, in light of all of these changed circumstances, does it alter in any way your staffing requirements? And I'm just wondering, one of the things that came up when we were comparing, library websites and such is that we learned, for example, I learned, others may have known this, that Wellesley has a substantially, larger staff for the library than Needham does. And I was curious as to why. And I wonder if what accounts for that difference, and whether at some point we should be considering additional staffing needs to request, even if it's going to be turned down now, might being turned down now increase the likelihood of getting it next year. But I do think we should be giving some thought as to what our desired staffing should be as we, move forward with the website and with everything else we're doing. And if we are short-staffed, and I don't know that we are, but if we are, whether that's reflected in our asks of the town, recognizing, of course, that this is an unusual deal this year with the COVID.
Really long story. It goes way back to the 1990s, the early 90s, when there was a failed override and the library lost 53% of its budget. And we went down to 26 hours open and only 10 staff members trying to keep the place together. And from there, it was patch on, try and get things back. We did get an override that was very successful a year later, but the word then to the then director was put the library back together again the cheapest way you can. And that's why we have so many part-timers.
Well, maybe, looking ahead, it's time we reconsider that philosophy.
Well, Jay, let's also just go into what we have, how we have increased staff. I think Aaron, a young adult, full-time young adult librarian, was maybe the most recent, and one children's librarian.
Right.
Professional.
Right.
So we have acquired positions in the last few years, not last year.
But my impression was that some of these other libraries have substantially more full-time staff than we do.
Wellesley historically has a bigger budget.
And if I don't,
That's a town choice,
Question for the trustees and the library to answer. I just raised, I'm good at raising questions, whether that's something that's significant that should be, that should be addressed somehow.
We do have a DSR4 request. I see you put it in again, and for reference librarian and digital communications specialist.
Right. So third year that I put it.
Is this the third year?
At least the third.
So we asked for that. I'm not sure it was I thought maybe it was only the second year, but in any case, that has been submitted, although I don't think that the likelihood in this year of COVID that we will get new positions is, really.
Which is why, maybe we should ask, because it's going to get turned down and you never know if that's helpful next year.
Well, we have asked. I guess
Okay,
Anne
fair
has
enough.
asked.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
We're not going to get them. I'm going to keep asking just so they won't forget about them.
Yeah. So the other DSR4s, which are sort of new spendings, not just increases in existing lines, such as for existing positions in the on staff, as for overdrive basic service, for let's see. Go through this with me, Anne, would you?
Overdrive basic, which we're paying out of state aid.
Right.
And overdrive advantage. I think we're doing state aid on that one this year too. These have all been before.
Yeah.
3-4 times, and it's Kate approves them and the finance committee dumps them.
Yeah, and the online world catalog, that is another one that's been through many times. It's paid out of the state aid now. And library page, that's a part-time position.
That's our packer and unpacker of the 18 to 25 boxes of materials that come through here every day from other libraries, and we send out 18 to 25 boxes in return.
All right. So this is another, these are repeats. There's nothing new here this year. But all of the ones that we didn't get last year or the year before are still in.
Right.
Correct?
Correct.
And tell me about
So
the furniture. Tell me about the furniture request. I know we had trouble, there was a big hullabaloo at the 2019.
So I didn't.
Okay. So but we had a multi-year furniture request. It wasn't just chairs, right?
We had a 4-year furniture request.
Right.
received 2 years. The third year was what they took out last year.
Last year. Mhm.
And I decided we didn't need the 4th year. So
I think until we see where we're headed with COVID and see where we're, and what the new normal may be, and until we get the study done, I think it's probably just as well to let that go, to have let that go. Okay, all right.
Can I ask one thing? I just,
Yes, Kay.
when we went through this budget for the last year for the first time, I struggled with this as well. When I look at this document, budget and capital scan, I see the capital requests and I see the DSR 4s, but when you refer to what you're calling the budget, I don't see that. Where is that in this document, or it's puzzling to me?
between the capitals and the DSR4, the sheets are labeled DSR1 and
DSR 1s. Okay.
DSR 1 and 2, is it also 2?
2 sheets of DSR2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so DSR 1 and 2 are what you would consider the budget, as
It's actually
opposed to
3 pages of DSR 2.
And DSR1
Okay.
and the little list, the list of increases there. And then DSR2 is the budget.
Yeah.
What is the budget?
DSR 2.
DSR 2 is the budget. Okay.
Line 8,
So,
total base request.
just
line
nomenclature here is
I
a
think
little.
we're talking over,
obscure.
excuse me. Let's just do one at a time because I think it's not coming through. And poor Jeff. Hi, Jeff. So, okay, does that answer
All
your
right.
question? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Let's move ahead. We have no statistical reports. We've talked about how we, need to work on getting somebody able to do that and any other part of this circulation jobs that you might need to be covered.
You know that the full-timers that are working down there now are in contact with Deborah.
Good. I'm glad she's able at least to do, but you just can't, count on that. You need to have somebody already equipped, so you don't have to check in with the person that's missing. So new business. The fiscal 2021 trustee goals. Well, I should back up. I just wanted to mention that the state of the state budget, Governor Baker proposed a revised budget, and the House now has a recommended budget, but it's going into, I think this week, hearings on about, 700 amendments that have been proposed, and most of them to benefit one or another special interest of one kind or another. And so that's something to watch as it goes along. And if you have an opinion on it, contact Denise Garlick, our representative, and also our the vice chair of the House Ways and Means Committee at this point. So the trustee goals for next year. I just printed out, just changed the title and printed out essentially what we had for last year. I substituted Rick for staffing section for focus. So as a preliminary, is everyone happy with their focus to go do it again next year? Being Tom for collections, Kay for programs and services, and Rob for technology, Anna for community engagement and partnerships, me for the facility, and of course, Rick, as I said, for staffing. Anybody who was not happy?
I have the same one this year as last year.
Okay. I think I should turn my volume up. I'm not hearing people well. Okay, well, let's assume then that I don't see anybody waving their arms, so assume that that will be fine. I think we,
Sarah, I have a question.
yes,
So I was under the impression that the strategic plan, we needed to start planning a new one. So when does this one end, just to clarify?
yes, this fiscal year is the last year. The one we're in is the last year
Okay.
of this existing plan. So I think for our trustee goals, for one thing, we should paginate this document so you can tell what page you're on. But aside from that, I'd like to add some language at the beginning, and I think we should maybe vote on this next meeting. But I would propose to add, a first goal, looking ahead to fiscal 22. The trustees will work with library administration to formulate a new strategic plan according to a process which incorporates input from the community, from library staff and the trustees. So that would be one goal right up front.
And I just add in, I feel compelled to say this. If I was in high school, I wouldn't say this, but I feel compelled to say that I seem to be the only one that doesn't have anything to do here.
What would you like to do?
I'm tempted to get away with it, but I figured I should at least acknowledge that I don't have anything. And if there's a role for me to play, for example, in this, new strategic plan or something like that, I'm happy to hold up my end. I felt a little guilty where I saw everyone else's name was attached to something. And
No, Jay, you're
there
gonna
was
do the
nothing
whole
for me.
plan, make the next new plan. You'll be responsible for all doing the whole.
Yeah, I'll do the plan. That's right. Give me a couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, I think the idea, Jay, would be for you to think about what area is of most interest to you. That would be one thing to do, and we can double up. In the past, there were 2 people on programs and services.
Okay, fair enough. But thinking about the strategic plan is something that would be of interest to me. But I'm happy to find a spot. I just figured I should mention that I'm unassigned.
We do need.
Collections is fun. You can join me.
I'd like to make a suggestion.
Yeah.
So Jay, I would actually welcome your help. I'm looking at firms and people that can help us facilitate all of this. I feel we work so well together with the website stuff, and now we're going to talk about that afterwards. If it's okay with the other trustees, I would welcome your help if you'd like to help me with that.
In terms of finding someone to work with the strategic
I'm
plan,
doing the legwork. I've got a couple of national firms I'm talking.
I would love to help with that. If I
That would be great, because
Yeah.
that would be a next point after we do the goals. That actually is the next thing on my list, is to figure out who is going to actually be the trustee point person.
I'd love to have a trustee liaison, and since you got nothing else going on right now, I think this would be perfect, right?
Okay.
Okay,
I'm not sure if what just happened was good news or bad news.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun. Trust me.
it's a done deal before he changes his mind.
Okay.
And I guess I would also like to have as a sort of up top of the list goal, maybe number 2, to bring the new library website to fruition. And 3, to complete the Collins Center study, space study, if conditions permit. And that's somewhat doubtful. And then a 4th would be to support the in support of the existing 2017 to 2021 strategic plan, to take into account what progress is being made by having us each focus on one area, while acknowledging that some changes to services are necessitated by closure of the building.
Can I ask a clarification
Pandemic.
question?
Go
So
ahead.
the space study is separate that we're asking for funding for than the money we're already using from state aid for the Collins Center doing,
Yes,
well, right? That is a separate thing, right? Yeah, okay.
Oh, the
That's gonna
request from the
happen.
town. You're talking about the request from the town?
Yes, that's a separate thing, the space study. And Anne, you just clarified that, I think, right? Yeah.
The Collins study is what is it, a feasibility? It's like a preliminary
It's a preliminary thing, which we're
study.
funding.
Yeah. $12,000 versus much more.
Right. And that, okay, that's all. I just, thank you.
That would be my
Yeah.
goal for the next plan. And I don't know, I mean, hopefully we could get the whole thing, a plan for the actual more
Yeah,
expensive plan, but who knows?
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And I don't know how you all feel, whether you want to put that in as a goal for the next strategic plan, but not for the next year to get that done. I would limit it to the Collins study, and that may not even be possible given the library building closure. So I would, I'll make some of these changes, but I wonder if anyone else had changes they wanted to make. If you do, please get in touch with me. I'm going to send something with a few additions and changes for a circulation for the next meeting. So I'll include them. Tom?
The one thing I want to do is that, the collections, I'm doing collections, and remember the issues I had before about the selection policy and everything like that. I'd like to make sure that's in the new website, and also the request policy and things. I'd like those all to be in the new website to make sure they would do much more effective than they are now. The policies, what we do now. I think they'd be much more effective in a new, amplified, new, great website.
You mean the location of the policies so you can find them?
Yeah, and also to do it, if you have a request, you can easily do it through the website.
Oh, I
Requesting
see.
a
You want
book or a movie.
Request
Through-
for purchase, and
through a
also
link.
if you have a challenge or something like that.
Through a link, you mean? Straight from the web-
On the website, yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Easily do it.
Well, at the moment, I
Do we
tried
have
to
that
find.
list? I'm sorry.
Hmm?
I think that's on our list of the things that we decided we wanted in the website, but we should double check that, Tom.
Okay, all right, I'll leave that to the working group on that. Thank you. I did try to find policies. I couldn't even find the policies unless I kind of Googled them. It seems crazy. You'd have to go to Google to find something on your own website, but I couldn't find them in the most recent changes to our town website page. In any case, let's move along. Let's see. We're up to old business, so website. Who wants to take that away? Rob or Jay?
Rob, you
Okay.
want to start?
Sure. And feel free to jump in at any point. So Danielle and Dimitri and JK and myself met with two website vendors during the past month. We got some more information from them, and I know that they subsequently had some follow-ups. So hopefully we're getting closer, probably very close to the point where we will be able to select a vendor.
Great. That is great news. I know Kay had described to me that one of the vendors has sort of one bundle of sort of strengths and weaknesses. The other has another that sort of can be characterized, put it that way. It's not just, well, I like them or I didn't like them, but so that you might describe to us, Kay, what you described to me.
Yes, oh, sure. Just in a nutshell, my, and it's just my impression after those two meetings was that when you look at the type and quality of the websites, the Sterling websites are really more sophisticated and beautiful looking. It's a bigger company it's a really much more design driven. They look good. The Clear Peak are very functional, very useful, less glamorous. And it is a much smaller company. So, there's very clear differences between the two.
If I could add, I understand that Dimitri, Ann, and Danielle met for, had a long meeting with the folks from Sterling. I think even today, and my impression is that they're agreeing with what I think Rob and maybe Kay and our initial impressions as well, which is there's a good chance that that the package offered by Sterling really gives us an opportunity to have a state-of-the-art, website, really as good as we could hope for. And it's within, even on the expensive range, it's within the budget that we propose to the foundation and the Friends. So, we'll have to, think that through, but I guess the library folks will meet with Rob and Kay and me either Friday or Monday, and hopefully I think we'll be at a point where we can make a final decision. And then maybe the question simply becomes whether it's possible to bargain them down a few bucks.
I was just going to say, are there
If I could add one more thing, I forgot to mention.
Are there advantages to Clear Peak other than cost? You said it's pretty clear, functional. Okay.
I think Dimitri or Danielle, they kind of sat down with I guess it's Sterling, and we had, and previously Clear Peak had showed us kind of the back end of their, so maybe they could address what
So because it's a public meeting, what I can tell you is both of them have advantages and disadvantages. That's when the working group and Danielle and I get together either Friday or Monday, we will talk through all of those. But they're both good firms. They both have a lot to offer.
Yeah.
There are some strengths that one has, each one has its own strengths. But these are the two firms that we're considering, and we'll definitely have a decision after we meet Friday or Monday.
That's great. There was some issue about which was the better type of platform.
Yeah,
Yes.
Sterling.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, Sterling gave us a full presentation today on both. They could do either one. They could do
WordPress or Craft are the two
Right.
platforms.
And that's something that, again, they spent a lot of time with us today. Anne said she learned a few things today, which is great. And they were really good. So I think we will make that determination at our meeting. We have all the information we need. I've shared some of it already with the working group, and I think we'll be ready to move forward.
Sorry, Rob.
Let's stop it.
Just really quick.
Just one at a time.
On a related note, we had a meeting with Dave Davison over at some point in the past month, and Dave ran through the contract process so we can get a better handle on that. The town has certain requirements for any contract, and we got a better idea of how that's going to work. There will be some back and forth with whichever vendor is chosen, of course, but we do have a better understanding of how that process works. And that may be one of the main timing issues once a vendor is selected, because we understand it can take a few weeks to get through that contract process.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Understood. Go ahead, Dan.
Did you get a copy of the short form agreement that Dave Davison was sending to everybody?
I hadn't gotten one.
I did not.
So
I think I sent it to Jay. I don't know if I sent it to both of you or just Jay, but I did send it to Jay.
What we got today after we talked, I got it, but I never got anything from Dave. We'll share. We just got it a little while ago. I'll share it with Kay and Rob.
Okay.
You shared yours with them.
Yeah.
No copy. Okay, so I don't have to send anybody anything then.
So the game plan is that you will meet by next Monday or so. You will have a choice made, your recommendation, and can go forward to contracting.
And to be clear, we walked it through with Dave, so we understand exactly how the process works, where the town is using their form of agreement, and there's a way that we can sort of integrate into that agreement the form of agreement that a vendor uses, so that we can move the process as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good idea. Yeah. Okay. Terrific. So let's go ahead. Strategic plan, the current one. I this afternoon very belatedly sent you a report. So I don't think there's much of a surprise in any of it, but I did just enumerate some of the progress points and what we're still waiting to do in terms of work orders that are outstanding, a couple from 2018 having to do with compliance with the ADA for the kitchenette and the community room, which at the moment is not being used for anything, of course, unless it's storage or quarantining. And a couple things that have to do with security for the exits and the staircase and the third floor access from the elevator, number one. You know, some of these relate to the space study. That's one of the objectives, and the other has to do with developing a management plan. We don't manage the building ourselves. We participate in it, but we are not in charge. And we're very lucky to have somebody like Angel, who really does seem to communicate with staff, with Anne, of course, all the time, Dimitri. But you know, I think we're lucky. I think in that regard, he seems to do a careful job. And a lot of the things that got done this year are things that get done year in and year out. Every so many months, the air filters get replaced. The systems get turned on at a certain time. They get turned off at a certain time. With irrigation, heat, air conditioning, inside, outside. The trees get pruned. There's a lot going on. It's a big building. So just keeping that going, whether or not people are in the building, is quite a job. And I really commend the custodial staff for how that's handled. And I know there's much more added on because of needing to disinfect, but maybe less sweeping up because there are not so many people. If there are any additions or comments, please. Probably you haven't had time to read.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment in terms of, you know, some of the things that have accomplished in fiscal year 20. You know, things that right now are not issues because we don't have anybody in the building, but we've had issues in the past in terms of the women's bathroom repairs, sewage pumps installed, a boiler replaced, the drain and the parking lot, the relocation of the handicap parking, the new striping. All those things had been sitting there for a long time that we were waiting to get done, and they're done. So
A
that's
lot got done. Yes.
we still have a lot of orders waiting to be fixed, but at least those things have been accomplished. It'll be great when, you know, people can use this, you know, take advantage of the repairs, but that I'm happy to see those things happen.
Yeah, a lot got done. And I really think that it's an indication. Some of these things are things we asked for, but other things we didn't ask for. But building maintenance knew we needed it, like, you know, replacing 2 boilers in a couple of years. So I think, you know, that isn't something that the library was in charge of saying, hey, we need a new boiler. It was still sort of chugging along. Maybe one would go out and the other one would serve while the other one, you know, didn't. But they put in 2 new boilers, which surprised me. I think maybe they just had the capacity to do it that particular fiscal year. And so they did it to be a little ahead of the game. So I think that there is a plan. I just don't think that we're part of it in terms of knowing what it is. So I will just leave that with you. The next part of the job is.
Anna had a question. Anna?
Go ahead, Anna.
Thank you, Carol. Just wondering, since there is a significant amount of cleaning now, how that is affecting the budget?
Not my budget,
Is the town's?
the building maintenance department's budget.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
Goodness.
There needs to be a final report in some form or another. It's been quite a tedious operation the last 2 or 3 years, going through every one of these actions, these goals, objectives, actions, and nobody reads it. I think we need a narrative that kind of puts a nutshell. And so unless someone else would like to volunteer to put that together for December, would anybody be interested in doing that? Lovely job. In that case, I will do it. And I will probably contact each of you about your part to see if it seems like, you know, accurate with some of us, the interim reports were quite a while ago. With others, we may not have an actual written report. So I'll just run each section by whoever was responsible for that focus, that goal, and try to get it done. I can't promise, but I'll try to get it done for our next meeting so we can move on. Okay, next, marketing and outreach. Anything that doesn't relate to something else on the agenda? Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, I suppose we could talk about this or also talk about Facebook. A couple of questions that I have is, you know, when the library posts on Facebook, I have been for the past couple of years sort of relaying it to the Needham Town group. And the reason that was because at the time, the library was prohibited from joining other groups. They could only post it on their, you know, post it as the library, and that was the end of it. So unless somebody subscribed to the library, like the library, they wouldn't see it. So what I do is I relay it to the Needham town, the Needham page on the website. I'm wondering if that, you know, you should join the Needham page now and just be able to directly post to it, post your the postings and take out the middleman, which is me.
Or at least have someone from the library handle that instead of you.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, I think, and Gay, maybe you can chime in here, but I think Sarah, who's kind of taken over for Steph, Sarah and Steph have been going, the town's public information officer has kind of been guiding us as to what we can or can't do, you know, as far as from the town's perspective. So we can find out about that, you know. Gay,
Yeah.
do you know if Sarah still participates in the group from,
I think she is, or she will be. It was mostly Steph, and I think Aaron may have been participating to a certain
Yes.
extent too. However, I will tell you that I don't know if the Needham group will allow an entity like
Yeah,
the
I
Needham
can
Public
speak to-
Library.
Yeah, Lee Hawkins,
Join.
she, you know,
She may
I can-
do it for us as a favor,
sure.
but I think all of us would feel very uncomfortable having to post it from our personal Facebook pages to that page.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Anna, you had,
They allow other organizations in Needham,
Okay.
unless, you know, maybe town departments, I don't know, but I've seen many different groups in Needham.
I think the only complication is they were a town department.
Yeah.
To clarify that a little bit with Cindy Ray Gonzalez, just to see.
Parks and
would-
Recreation posts
Okay,
all the
well-
time, so.
But I don't know if they're posting from their own Park and Recreations posts,
Yep.
or are they posting, are they? Or
Yes,
are they
they-
posting
Yes.
is from somebody else doing it? All
Okay.
right, we can
All right.
find out if they'll let
We
us
can
do
find
it.
out, we'll do it, sure.
yeah, let's do. I said that would be cutting out, you know, a whole step. So when you post to the library, you can also post to the town.
And may I also suggest that you list Needham parents. There's a Needham parents Facebook for the children's activities. And there is a Needham Special Education Parent Action Council, CPAC.
Anna,
those-
could you send those to the email one box at minlib.net? That's the one of the reference monitors, so that we have a listing.
Could
so that
you
when we
add
do
it in
get
the chat?
permissions? Yes, I'll put the address in the chat.
Okay, thanks.
Great, okay.
I
So-
just checked out the website, the Needham Mass, 13,000 members. And Teddy Eaton just posted something on it, and it is from her personal account.
Park and Rec does from Park and Rec.
Okay.
know
Well, we'll
that.
find out, we'll find out. Gay, we'll talk to
All
Sarah.
right, we'll work that out. Please do. That would be great. Maybe you could tell us next month where that comes out. Great follow up. Thank you. Diversity programs.
Okay, have a couple of announcements, actually one. The Diversity and Discussion Book Club finalized their selections, and we have narrowed it down to 2 books. I think I mentioned this last time. And we're going to do An American Marriage by Taraji Jones in January. And we are going to, and I'm just looking for the next book here, on Don't Tell Me Where I'm from Jennifer De Leon. And she's actually a local author, and that will be in April. So we have already secured the dates and times with Gay Allen. So it's now we'll start promoting for January and early December. And we're hoping that the author Taraji Jones will join. There is a connection, but we don't know yet.
Okay. You had talked about maybe having more than one session on a single book. Is that something that's not going to happen this
We
time?
debated, and everybody's so busy and a bit zoomed out.
Yeah.
So and also there are other folks who are participating in other book clubs.
Yeah.
So we may do that for September because there's a lot of interest in that book Cast by Isabel Wilkerson. So, and that's a really, big book, to digest. So that may lend itself to that kind of setup.
That would be when?
For September, for the next season.
Oh, next season. Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right. Thank you. That was one thing. So that's the diversity. I thank you for sending out the save the date for the Needham Summit, Diversity Summit.
Yeah.
May I also respond to Jay? I did. I just sent a note to the committee, and they have it for the actual event. I've seen the slides. They're just kind of catching up with what they posted ahead of time. So the save the date posts are not updated, but I'm on them now. So thank you for that.
Okay, great. Good for noticing that. And so that I don't think I've signed up yet, but I intend to for the initiative, although it's a long stretch. It goes from 12 to 5, and that's always difficult.
You could the first hour or so is a keynote. There's going to be a panel for some folks from Needham, and there's also Marvin Henry, who was recently exonerated from the shoplifting charge, will be also speaking. So that'll be from 12 to 2, and then the panel discussions will be after, and you can come in and out. If you just want to come for one of the panels from one of the workshops, you can, but you need to register. So,
I mean, there's only one workshop that you really have to go to. It's being, led by Anna, so.
Yeah, I'm doing a workshop with a colleague, so. But,
I registered for that one.
Oh, great.
I haven't registered, so that's why I don't know what it is. What is the?
Okay. It's the Lived Experiences project that I've been running.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it opposite the Patriots?
I don't know. You can record
The
a Patriots
I can
game.
record the Patriots. I always do anyway. I don't
The
wanna wait till
Patriots,
February.
unfortunately, are the Sunday night game against the Ravens.
Oh, are they? Okay, very good. Thank you. Yay. Thank you.
You never know when they're going to play for sure until the day, somebody maybe.
You could always do the keynotes and then
Yeah.
catch the games afterwards.
Yep. So, as far as diversity, I just wanted to remind people that this Mass Library Trustees Association annual meeting program, the topic is, it's on November 14th, Saturday, so we could have a real busy weekend. Putting your stamp on the future, creating diverse and sustainable boards. So interesting topic. The MBLC is essentially the provider of programs for these meetings, and they tend to be very good. So we'll see. I don't know, is anyone able to attend all or part of that on Saturday?
The Notre Dame game is
register.
the Notre Dame game is at 3:30. So
I don't want to hear
Notre
about
Dame BC,
football.
Notre Dame BC 3:30. So there's no chance that I'm going to make that.
Got 2 excuses on that one.
Do you know if they record those events? If you register, you could get a link. Do you know does anybody know?
I don't think it's ever been done virtually, so I don't know. I mean, it's the first,
Okay.
it's an annual meeting, so it hasn't really, there's no track record on that, you could ask, which would be a good thing, you know. But, okay. So is there anything else on diversity programs? Okay. Let's go to the policies. Those policies that we have had in the wings for such a long time. These two policies sort of need to be considered together. I thought, so that's why we waited for the appropriate patron behavior one, which is actually replacement for the guidelines, the prior policy that was titled guidelines.
Self.
And you have the revised proposals. Children in the library is brand new. We've never had that specific separate policy. And I think it's worthy of, you know, the topic is worthy of having a separate policy. And the appropriate patron behavior policy picks up a lot of what was in the old guidelines policy, but separates out some of the, takes out some of the reference to the children that is now in the separate children's policy. It covers silent areas in the library. It has most of the rules. The only problem I have with this whole policy at this point, with this particular draft, is this no sleeping. I don't want people using the library as a regular sleeping place. And I do think that it is not within the mission. It's not within the mission of the library to provide sleeping facilities. But to say it's a violation of the library's mission is a little bit strong, I would say. I don't know if there's a little bit better way to word that. Other than that, I don't have any changes, but I was going to see who else had reviewed this and had anything to say about it. Anybody?
Many libraries, sleeping, they put it under no loitering, and then they define loitering. So whether that's something you all want to consider or not, that's entirely up to you.
Just
But in terms
change
of,
it to the term inappropriate activity or inappropriate use.
well, you know, sleeping in and of itself is not inappropriate.
It's an inappropriate inactivity.
But I mean, that's a suggestion, but that's just, many other library policies have it.
I must admit, I have fallen asleep in the library.
Well, is
But I
it,
think there should be a time limit, or you have to be in REM sleep or something like that.
Could come into the
Violation.
nodding off group then, and that's
Yeah.
not forbidden.
So
But
you might have to, if you're snoring, it's definitely annoying.
Carol, didn't you think that it should say not in accordance with rather than in violation?
well,
of?
that's what I had suggested. It didn't seem to end up in this draft, but I would say not in accordance with. I
think that's good.
Just a comment is that I thank you for including the study carols in the quiet area. And I felt pretty strongly that people should have a desk space to work quietly with their computers and their books. And I'm thinking, you know, as we go forward with the planning, you know, the space planning, that if it could be found a way, I know that the staff finds it hard to enforce the quiet rules in the study carol area, and perhaps at some point the study carols, you know, the furniture can be rearranged so the individual study carols are away from the chatting area, so that that conflict could be resolved.
Because we do need a place for Tom to put his head down, you know.
I think as we had agreed, I thought we were in agreement more or less that those carols would be places for the users to be quiet. There's no guarantee that those at the, you know, the carol nearest to the tables is going to experience quiet for their own study, but it's always the edge, the borderlines are always problems with zoning, with everything else, you know, so conflicting uses.
Yes.
Okay, so With that one change, is there any other change? Can I have a motion and we can
So move.
to adopt?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, here we go. Let's go down our list. Kay,
Aye.
Jay,
Aye.
Rick,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
and me. It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Let's go on to the children's policy. Anne, could you just double check, because I think I emailed you, could you just double check that there are no references to the old title of,
I did. I went through every policy and the word guidelines was in some of them, but had nothing to do with the policy.
okay, super, okay, so we don't need to worry about outdated references. So children in the library policy. Which has been revised since you last saw it. Could I have a motion and we can discuss after that any changes anyone wants? A motion to adopt this policy, a brand new policy.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, Jeff, it's up to you to figure out who said that.
It was Rick for motion and Rob. for
Rob
second.
for second, okay. Is there any discussion?
Only one, I don't know, one minor, where it talks about adults not accompanied by a child who are not utilizing the collection will be asked to move to the adult. Do you want to say relocate versus move?
Which part of the page are you on?
That would be 1, 2, 3,
Oh,
4,
I see it.
5. The fifth
1, 2.
paragraph. So those are not utilizing the correction will be asked to relocate to the adult circulation or reference departments.
Okay. No problem.
And I had just a clarification on the 8th bullet and the elevator. An adult must accompany children under 10 on the elevator unless the child is physically challenged. I don't quite understand that. Why, if the child's challenged, wouldn't they need an adult with them?
Right.
You know, I always assumed that that had to do with the ADA, but a requirement of the ADA, but I have not checked that out myself. Would you check on that, Anne?
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Well, it doesn't, and it does, you know, it does, and it doesn't, I
Basically
suppose.
saying that if a child was physically disabled, they would challenge, they would need to use the elevator. But if they don't, they shouldn't unless it's accompanied by an adult.
I think what it's trying to say is, like, for example, an 8-year-old using a wheelchair. If it's a power wheelchair and they go to use the elevator,
Right,
they don't have an adult with them, they need to do that in order to move wherever. But because we're making, because of that accommodation, I think it refers to situations like that, the way I read it. I could be wrong.
Well, it sounds like the child under 10 years old in a wheelchair that's motorized or something knows how to use it.
and would be able to use the elevator independently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a child that's not in a wheelchair would also be able to use the elevator independently.
You might also like to go up and down the elevator without,
Up and down and up and down and up
Oh,
and down.
which is what they do.
I think you're really right, Carol. It's something to do with the ADA.
I suspected that that was the reason for it, but could you double check that? And if we need to amend, we'll amend, but do you others feel that we're ready to adopt this as is, and we will get back to that point if we need to change it?
I just have one question.
Yes.
You know, that state law there, does that refer to schools too?
Excuse me?
Does that refer to schools?
What's section 119,
Oh,
section
I don't
39?
know. Yeah, I don't know.
All I know is that my parents were very neglectful.
Well, no, Tom, it's all right. Remember, teachers are in loco parentis.
Yeah, you think so? Librarians aren't?
No, we're not.
No,
We absolutely are not.
they'd love you to be, but
Well, you're not leaving them alone. They're with somebody who's in charge. So I guess that is the difference. And the librarians are not going to be in charge of the kids unless they're kids that are in a program specifically, running a program, a limited time program. Okay, is there any?
Carol, I have a question here.
Yes, go ahead.
The third bullet from the bottom, the first sentence says children exhibiting inappropriate behavior. Is that referring to the previous bulleted paragraph? Where, so are we, there's no description in that sentence on what inappropriate behavior means. So are we referring to the one prior, where it says that the parent guardian is responsible, disruptive behavior includes, is that the one we're referring to, right?
I think so, but it's actually two because there's one in between.
Right. So I don't know if we can make an asterisk or something that, so that we know we know what we're referencing to.
Change the order.
Would change the order.
If it doesn't change, yeah, something like that, that will be fine.
Why don't we switch the order then of those two bullets? At the discretion of a responsible adult could go after the children exhibiting inappropriate behavior.
And could we include punching to the list of?
I think it's there.
I see pushing.
Love this list.
I see pushing. I don't see
Getting-
punching.
Oh, pushing, not punching.
Yeah.
Throwing,
Voice
hitting,
speaking.
eating.
Yeah, she's right. There's pushing, but there's no punching.
And how about stomping on?
There you go. I'm telling you.
Do we need that?
Punching.
Do we need that specific word for some reason, Anna?
I mean, my kid is kind of, I guess. So,
We've got hitting in there.
okay,
Hitting.
yeah, that's true. That
Okay.
covers it. That covers it.
Pushing and horseplay are all in there.
And biting.
There you go.
Not
Okay.
to mention biting, yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen every one of these.
I hear you.
Pounding is in there.
And
I've
that's
done
just
it
from the
before.
trustees.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move that one bullet down. The one in between the two inappropriate behavior bullets. And we'll change that word move to relocate as far as adults using the children's room. Yeah, are there any other comments on this? Any changes? Could we have an amended motion then to adopt this policy with those two changes?
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Go down the list. Kay,
Aye.
Jay,
Aye.
Rick,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Tom,
Present.
you
Hey,
in favor?
hey, I don't like this.
You don't like this one? Are you voting against? Yeah, I'll
I'm not
ask.
voting against it. No, I'm just not voting in favor of it. I'm voting
Okay,
against it.
abstain,
Abstaining.
abstain. And me, I will vote in favor of it. All opposed? No one opposed, not even Tom. Thank you. The policy carries. Thank you.
Can I ask what you don't like about it, Tom? I'm just curious.
It's much too restrictive, and I don't think it's, I just think it's just much too vague, and I think it's, it's not what we really should be doing. It's very, I don't know,
This was at the request of the children's supervisor.
I rest my case. Yeah, it's true, but it's, I just don't think it's what I would like to have as a policy. I'm not voting against it. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's.
I understand, and I would love to have it all be very loose and all be positive. But I think that hopefully it will be administered with a light hand.
I'm sure it will be, Carol. I think she wanted something to be able to point to
Right.
when children were doing certain things.
Right.
Yeah,
I
it's a tool.
guarantee that just about nobody's actually reading this before bringing their children in.
No, I'm sure it'll be afterward, and we're, if there's some egregious violation, that'll be brought to their attention.
It's a tool you
Okay.
put in the toolbox in case you need it.
Okay, it is 8:30, and you know what? We're right on track. Library art and exhibits.
Yes, the Art and Exhibits Committee met yesterday, and Gail facilitated us, and we thank her. I'm seeking tonight approval from the trustees for the next group of artists each month coming up. Right now, we have the Needham Art Association for this month and December. So lots of great Needham artists are on display. Gay Ellen has put their work on the website, on the main page down, she's done a nice job with what we have. We're just really looking forward to having a better space to display the art gallery work. So I have my list of artists I'm going to put before you. Gay Ellen, could you let me share? I'm going to try this. I think I figured it out.
You figured it out, great. If not, I have it already set up and ready to go. So give me a second.
Okay, I put together a document with each of the 5 artists, and
Okay, go
I'm gonna
for
try-
it. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go for it. Okay, so can you guys see this document?
Yes.
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 Great job.
Okay. So as I mentioned, November and December are Needham artists. And then we move on to January. I've been in touch with this really quite interesting sculptor who I knew him from, he does some work over at the Gorse Mills studio in Needham. He's trained as a classical monument sculptor who doing those big things you see in public parks with men and women riding on horseback in bronze. That's his spiel. But for his personal artwork, he does these sculptures. There's just one example here. They're abstract. They're more like, bread box size sculptures and 2-dimensional sculptures that could go on a wall. So very nice young man. And he and the next one have both asked if, this of course is virtual since no one's allowed in the library at this point, but both of them are hoping that we will allow them to do a real exhibit in the actual library when the time comes. So I would like assurance that we can offer that to them if they're so kind to put together a virtual online exhibit of their work for us.
Okay,
So that's
may I just interject here that if they're really bread box size sculptures, some of them could probably go in the display cases for a sculptor, but whether they can hang on the wall, even if they're could hang on some walls, would be sort of to be determined. Gay Ellen is most familiar with the hanging systems that we have.
I can tell you that I can put up enough wires that will allow us to hang it. Our wires are 50-pound test. If I need to, I put multiple wires up to be able to hang.
And if they protrude too much from the wall, then that's a problem because people are walking by.
It's a case of placement.
Yeah.
So just so you know, he has a whole series of 2-dimensional, they're just like relief, they're framed. It's almost like hanging a textured painting.
Oh, okay. All right. So they aren't deep. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Now these are, but.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So no, I mean, if it can be worked out, I think we should include in a vote that the clarification that the mere fact that they did this virtual exhibit will not count, so to speak, against the 2-year limitation. No one can exhibit more than every 2 years. So that's not guaranteeing them anything except that particular rule won't apply to because they've.
So do we want to vote on these one by one or as a group, or how is this done?
Can we just go down? Can we?
As a member of the Needham Art Association, I'd have to vote on them. I'd have to abstain from that vote too.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the other ones, I thought, so if we do the other ones individually, I can vote.
He's the
I
only
quite get what
one.
you're saying.
He is,
Well, I'm a member of the Needham Art Association, right?
yes.
So I
Yes.
don't want to vote for their program. I don't
Oh,
approve their
okay.
program. I want to abstain from that vote too.
They're already up and running, so we're not voting on the Needham Art Association.
Okay, okay.
They were approved. They were approved months ago. The 2 months Needham Art Association exhibit was approved months ago.
I hope
So
I didn't vote for it.
What?
I hope I didn't vote for it.
Well,
Oh,
you may have, Tom, I don't know. We could go back, but don't worry about it. It's history. So let's go forward and see if we can do them all at once, once we've.
Okay. Here we go. So the next one, I reached out, I read about this young photographer in the Boston Globe when the Black Lives Matter protests were going full tilt. They did a kind of a survey on local Black photographers who are chronicling their own history, telling their own history of the movement and recording it for posterity. And this was one of them that I reached out to. He has a very interesting life story that he told me. He grew up in Concord, the son of an African-American surgeon and a white nurse. And in Concord, he felt very isolated as growing up there. And now post-college, he feels that he's really finding himself and finding a connection by going into Boston. He now lives in Boston and he's photographing the whole movement, the protests, and he does some beautiful work with a large format film camera. So he's going to convert his film photos into digital form for us for February for Black History Month. And then he hopes to also do an in-person exhibit in the actual gallery when the library opens.
I think that'd be great.
Thankfully.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
looks terrific. It's quite a striking photo. This one, I assume you saw others, but
Oh yeah, I've seen, so I couldn't fit them all on here, but I wanted to give
Yeah.
a sample of each one.
Okay.
So yes, he has every, a lot. His specialty is that he calls it the emotion of protest. So he tries to capture people's emotions. A lot of them are individual portraits.
yeah, great. Okay.
So, and then Gay Allen brought forth the next three, which I think had been approved before
they-
I began working with the committee, right? So I don't know,
believe
Gay
so.
Allen, did you want to say anything about these three? Dan Bell?
I was not sure because the applications came in January and February, just before we closed, and I could not remember if they actually were brought up for a vote or not. So
Okay.
I thought that we had approved Diane Bell and Lori Levitt previously.
we
but
may have,
Yeah,
but
her.
as I said, I had
Okay.
paperwork and I could not remember if they had been. So
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that they were brought up.
Yeah, okay.
Diane Bell does
Yeah.
numerous things. She's constantly changing. She is based in Franklin, though a lot of her artwork comes out of Vermont, where she maintains a summer residence. So she is watercolor nature oriented. Lori Levitt does mixed media. She also does printmaking. And she also does regular painting. And the last one is Beth Hoffer. Her thing came in just as we were closing. She's a photographer. Her stuff is stunning, absolutely stunning. She's an award winner. She's been up numerous times. She's also done exhibits, co-exhibits with Lori, but definitely separate.
Okay. So
Any questions or issues?
I was just thinking, March is usually the month that we think about, well, what would we like to have with art in bloom? But the chances of having art in bloom at the library in March,
Yeah.
well, yeah.
Just so you know, Carol, I just received permission to start canceling out everything for the spring in the community room. And that will be one of the things I will be discussing with them, that there is no way we can host them this year.
Yeah. That's the way it is. So, okay.
Sadly.
Well, I think that actually we had looked at Diane Bell and and Lori Levitt, and I think we had actually had previously approved them, but let's go ahead and include them. And if everybody likes all of these, then we'll just do it all in one. And if that doesn't carry, somebody doesn't like one or more of these, then we'll go back one by one.
I mean, I think we have a really interesting mix.
Great
It's
to
not, some atypical stuff like this abstract sculpture and the more political Black Lives Matter movement, along with
Yeah.
the more of this sort of beautiful landscape and nature type work and
Yeah.
mixture of photography and painting. So it's a nice array. And
Looks
we just
great, and
wish we could have them in person.
Well,
Thank you. I think it looks great.
I think it looks great, and I think that if
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting that the sculpture is something that, well, it's sometimes hard to display, but on virtually, I mean, it's not the same, but
Right.
might get a
Yeah.
broader audience if it's on a website at least that. We'll see. I guess it's probably not going to be the new website by January.
Yeah, I
but
feel like that's
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
But we are going to try to do some publicity. I'm going to try to push and get the publicity out there so they get some benefit from
Yeah,
this.
yeah, that's great. So I think we need a motion,
moved.
Tom, is that you?
Yeah.
Did you say something?
I so moved.
Oh, well, I didn't say what the motion was yet. I was going to say approve these artists, provided they each have turned in the application and contract that we require, and with the specific clarification that the virtual exhibit will not rule out their doing another in-person exhibit within 2 years, the way it normally would. So that is the motion.
Okay,
Then
I have a
I'll
question
look-
about the motion then.
Yes,
The contract requires if they sell anything, we get 10%.
Yes, that's my understanding, right?
Yes, it does. And we do it on an honor basis, and they've always been
that-
very good about it.
On a basis is fine.
okay. So do I have that motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Tom. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Rob. All in favor? Kay?
Aye.
Jay?
Aye.
Rick?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
You with me? Thanks. And we unanimously approved. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kay. That was great work. To accomplish that in the midst of this. You're kind of making, lemonade out of lemons.
Right.
McIver. Anna, you're,
I am ready. Thank you. So MacGyver is coming along nicely. I have been looking at several ideas, and there is not really a theme that I can offer, but there's some interesting, there are 3 events that I'm putting together. One is I'm looking to do a kind of like a diversity book club for kids discussion. So it's more like a story time related to equity and inclusion in partnership with the Equal Justice in Needham for Families. There are about 112 Facebook members of this group, and they hosted their first story time with a local author. So we're hoping to partner with them and do story time for kids and their caregivers. We're looking into that, and probably for January. So that would be the first one. The second one is we're in conversations with Reverend Katie Scudera from the First Parish, and Gloria, is it Grice? Gloria
Grice, yes.
Grice, and they have both been have done conversations and done research on slavery in Massachusetts and actually in Needham. So that is a topic that where they have, we're looking at how to have them maybe as a panel discussion or have 2 related presentations in the same session. So that probably will be for February. And then in March, for Women's International Women's Day, I'm hoping to have an all-female mariachi band. We'll see how we can pull that off. So those, and there may be a 4th one that I'm still looking into.
Okay, can you,
Oh.
can you clarify? I thought you had clarified for me when we spoke with this on the phone, but the first program, is this actually stories? Is this
It
a
will be-
program, or is it the talking about how to read or teach?
Oh, no, it will be actually the author reading the book. It's kind of like a story time, as they
Yeah,
do for the children's, but this will be with the author. And there'll be a discussion with the children and the caregivers on paragraphs or part of the book, and mostly is for kindergarten through middle school age. So one of the books, the ones that they discussed was Vitamin D and Me, I believe it was. And there's another, All the Colors We Are. They're all talking about race and differences and equity and getting along. So that's kind of the theme. And we're hoping that we could, the library could buy a few of the books, similar to what we do with the diversity book club, so that the families can also read the book at home.
Okay, is there any thought in whether this is something we haven't, as far as I know, done before for MacIver, to have a purchase of books to go along with the program, but I don't see any reason why we couldn't.
Either.
Yeah, and I think it's a little different, although we've had programs sort of for all ages, such as, music programs. I don't remember having a MacIver that was specifically sort of targeted to children like this, but I also don't see any reason why not. It sounds great. But any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, just wondering if there is a process for secure funds. I wasn't clear on how that works.
I think I said we needed to ask which trust fund that comes out of, but we'll vote you a budget so that you know what you have to work within. If that sounds like something that would help you to know in advance, so you can work with these people.
Yeah.
Ann, I'll just let you fill us in on where that comes out of. I don't recall.
I believe that it's from the Will Goose Fund,
Okay.
Coleman Fund, one or the other. And I will
Okay.
let
I mean, there is a process already, so it's just my following up. And we do this every year, right?
Correct.
Yes, it's just a matter of
Okay.
every year we vote a dollar amount, correct, Ann? So that there's a budget, you know what you have to work with.
this year, but last year's is still here and it'll probably be the same. It's from the Tolman Fund and it's $3,000.
3,000, oh, okay. I think I did it 2 years ago, and I think it was 2,000 then, so this is a bigger budget. Okay, yeah, I think Lois Bacon did last year's. Correct?
Rick, I thought it was Rick.
Yeah, I did
Oh,
last year.
you did the glass. Okay, then it was the year before was Lois with the music and, okay. So I guess what we need is a motion to spend money out of the Will Goose Fund
So moved.
in the amount of $3,000.
So moved.
So move, second.
Second.
Who's first there?
It was a tie.
Okay, right. All right, so, and all in favor, Kay?
Aye. Really creative thinking, Ann.
Yeah, I think this will be great. Jay, did you,
Aye.
no, Rick,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
and me last, all in favor, thank you. That is budgeted, moved, seconded, and voted. So now, and we come to the library, Friends, excuse me. Is there anything on the Friends, Jay, do you know?
There's not, I don't think much to report. They're looking forward to their next book sale, whenever that might be.
Yeah.
One thing I should mention, I've mentioned it to Kay and Rob, but I don't know that I've mentioned it to the whole group. that when the Friends talked about making their contribution to support the website, they noted that in one way or another, they're going to want to somehow acknowledge Greg Shesko in connection with the contribution. Well, they'll figure out the details, but I thought that's something I should at least mention, that to some extent they wanted to make make the contribution in honor of him one way or another. So
Yeah, and I think there's some expectation of having something on the website that honors him, maybe a
well,
page.
some place in connection with the reference to the funding for the website, they're hoping to make some sort of honorarium that mentions his name. So
That seems totally appropriate. He was so passionate about our getting a website, and I'm so sorry he's missing this, but he would have been really happy. So it seems totally appropriate. He was a very big advocate for that.
So it'll just be a question of working that out when, there's a place to put it.
I'm sure we'll figure out the details, but I didn't want to surprise you. I wanted to mention that
Thank you.
it had come up.
And you can make it in announcements of the new website, include that, and that would probably be the best publicity, more than finding it somewhere on the website also. So we'll have to be sure to remember to do that.
So Carol, I can report that the Friends had a very, very successful first program of the year.
Yeah.
November 1st, we had 175 people sign up, and we figure we had between 130 and 145 attend.
And only 100 of them were his children, right?
Not that many, but he did have at least half a dozen siblings. And after the program was over, I kept it going for another 45 minutes so that they could have a mini family reunion for those who wanted to stay on.
Was that recorded, Gail?
Yes, it was. And I will be giving it to the nice people at the cable for them to see what they can do to convert it. Worst comes to worst, we'll put it up on our YouTube channel.
That would be great. I had signed up for it and hoped to be able to be there, and I couldn't. So I would love to. Really was sorry that I couldn't. I kind of would like to go back.
It was great. They've got a couple of more programs coming up in January, in February, and in March. And they are zooming ahead, so to speak, with what they've got. And they've got some really fascinating programs that will be coming up, some of them courtesy of Jay. So thank you for that.
Well, it isn't a real big get together, the sort of social occasion that, we kind of like. People go to the library, but I have to say that there are these advantages that more people sometimes can tune in for an hour.
More people are attending the online stuff than they would be virtually. So, I mean, in person. I don't expect that the Friends would have gotten more than 50 people max if they had done this in person.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. It's a very interesting topic.
They
but
certainly
anyway.
would not have had the outside people that they did have.
You mean they wouldn't have had the presenters?
No, they would not have the additional people
With the family.
for commentary and that. So it worked.
The community room never would have held all those people.
No, it wouldn't.
All right. Well, that's great. Thanks for the report, both of you. Library Foundation, Joan?
Yes. We did send out the fundraising brochure a little earlier this year, and we are getting donations in, but we have no idea how much it will be until we really can, towards the end of December, January, we'll have a better idea. Also, what's interesting is the little free libraries are doing very well. They're very busy. We get kids are, and adults are taking out books, but we're also getting a lot of donations coming into the boxes. So, and we meet Thursday.
Okay, all right. And we really do thank the Elephant and the Friends for their willingness to step up for the website. It's going to be terrific. It's just going to be such an improvement. And some of us that are sort of older timers on this board have wanted this, tried to work on this for a long time, and not, to this effect. So I
Great.
appreciate that and really the good work that was done by the working group.
So
Okay.
Carol, just to note, the LFN does have 2 programs this month that they are sponsoring. We are full for our paint afternoon, but we still have room for the Jeff Belanger talk on spooky stories or strange stories of New England coming up a week from today on the 17th.
What was the first one that's full?
Was Painting with Chelsea.
Chelsea.
We're actually oversubscribed. I had enough money, I had enough materials to be able to accommodate a pair of sisters that we didn't want to separate out.
Okay, that's great. Now, trustee comments. I just have one, and then I'll open it to anyone else. I want to congratulate Anna on her selection by the Needham Newton Metro West Chamber of Commerce as one of the 50 most influential business people of color. And there'll be a little celebration on Thursday. So I hope you've seen that one way or another. Have you all, or do you need?
Yes. Congratulations, Anna.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank
bravo.
you.
Bravo.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Suggest or recommend if we could, or Ian, or if you could convince Cindy Gonzalez maybe to put that in the Friday features. There's actually a couple of people from Needham. Anna, obviously, we want her highlighted as a member of our, a colleague as a trustee, but also Gretchen Cook Anderson, right?
Yes.
Needham. And who else?
Larry Ward,
Larry
who,
Ward, right?
yes, who is a dean at Babson College.
Yeah.
So the Friday 5, it's going to be too soon. You know what I mean? The timing isn't quite right for the Friday 5, but there could be something else that Cindy sends out. Who would like
She only sends
to work on that?
thing out on Friday.
Uh,
Oh, I see what you mean. It'd be after the ceremony. Well,
It'll
she
be
can
after the
congratulate her.
ceremony, but
Yeah.
Anne, could you contact her and see what she can do, whether it's a news flash or it's, part of her Friday 5, which is kind of where it should be probably. If she could, relay the congratulations, even though the little ceremony would have been over.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
What other trustee comments, any? I don't believe it. It's only 8:58.
Wow.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Anna,
Yeah.
Anna second. Rob, is that you?
Second.
Who is seconded? All right, thanks. I'll go down my list. Kay, Jay,
Hi.
Rick,
Hi.
Anna,
Aye.
Tom,
Hey, no, aye.
Rob,
Aye.
and Carol. That was a unanimous. We are adjourned. Thank you.